Y'all, a few days ago, right, I was scrolling through the Wizard101 subreddit, and I saw a post that I absolutely had to talk about. Let me paint you the picture, right? The person that posted this, you know, I think they just hit max level, probably for the first time, and they posted a picture of their stats. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. These aren't insanely good stats. Those stats that I saw on that screen brought me back to my menu chat days, and honestly, those were the happiest days I ever had playing Wiz. And frankly, if this person truly did hit max with those stats, that's more impressive to me than hitting max normally, like a normal person. So it should have been a moment, like, you know, to celebrate, honestly, just to be like, you know, honestly, just to be happy for this guy about. A lot of people took that post as an opportunity to kind of be a little toxic. And here's the thing, they weren't that bad, but I feel like in an effort to tell them that his stats were bad, or maybe even give them advice, they were just kind of being disrespectful. This post had to get locked because the moderators, I think, of the Reddit have gotten tired of some of the toxicity on the subreddit. But it really brings into question whether elitism is a pervasive force in Wizard101. Now, while I do think that there might be judgment about stats in PvE, I actually think a better example of true elitism in Wizard101 is actually in the PvP scene, and I've had my fair share of experiences with it. I'm taking the risk of saying this as someone who literally has not one, but two wizards on the second page of the whole leaderboards. People use Wiz rank as a reason to act in any way they want and say anything over this game, including but not limited to literally personal attacks. I'm sure I've talked too much trash because of rank. I'm sure other people have because, you know, they view their skill in PvP as some sort of elite status in Wizard101. And while I do think there can be like a friendly competitive nature to it, a lot of the times, especially in PvE, I feel like it gets conflated into this sense of self-importance and it comes off as judgmental. I think people making it to like a high level or even max with like bad stats, it's really frowned upon by some parts of the community, and I don't know why. I've even seen people be judgmental and like, you know, roast people for the moves they make or the stats they have in team-ups like this one, where people actively seek the help of others. They will, after seeking that help, judge their stats. It's a really weird phenomenon, and I think at the root of it, it really comes from people's need to want to be recognized for the efforts that they have put in the game. To add some context to this Reddit post, right, the original poster, they also kind of roasted the people that were even giving friendly advice. Men said people spend their whole life on Wiz just to get stats, and honestly, yeah, that's kind of disrespectful too. But I think what that specific comment kind of highlighted to me is that I feel like there's judgment on both ends of the island, and something that I wish people that played Wiz would just get over. I've been working really hard on this PvE setup for probably the past few weeks, and in order to perfect this setup where I optimized my storm damage, my storm pierce, and my resist to fire, storm, and balance on purpose, I did all of those things on purpose. In order to do that, I had to get maxed pins, which took hours and hours of farming. I had to get one of the rarest amulets in the game, and I had to make a super specific gear set pet. Does the fact that I made this setup make me superior to anybody else with bad stats? No. But should I really be made fun of for figuring out a way to do something that's really helpful in the newest raid? I don't think so. I think that's something that a whole lot more of us could do. We could just respect the fact that people play the game in different ways. On the very same subreddit where this entire argument took place, there's a guy who, as a level 1, has made it to the end of the quest line. So when someone can do that, why is it such a grievance if someone with slightly worse stats makes it to the end? I just don't really get it. Where does that come from? Where does that judgment come from? Now, even though this did happen in the Reddit, I wanted to talk about my experiences with elitism in the game itself, right? Not in the Reddit, in the game itself, right? Where, you know, you get a vastly more representative pool of players to, you know, look at. When I first started, I did not know how enchants worked. I had menu chat. I didn't know how good gear worked. Like, we're talking Waterworks was out. I didn't know what Waterworks even was. That was my first experience with this game. I only got like text chat and open chat and all that when I was 18. I did it the way you're supposed to. Now, if there was truly like an institutionalized level of elitism on Wizard101, a player like me would never make it. And I also think what people tend to forget is the vast majority of people that play this game don't interact in the Wizard101 subreddit. They don't interact with YouTube content. They just play the game after maybe a hard day at work or having a job or something, or maybe like at school or classes. After their day's done, they get on Wiz for an hour maybe, and then they get off. That's probably how the vast majority of Wizard101 players look like. So I think what we do have to remember is when we're interacting in niches like the YouTube space or the Reddit space, you're interacting in a niche of already a niche, which is the fact that people even play Wiz to begin with. What you'll get are super hardcore players and the few new players that happen to interact in these spaces to begin with. They're not, you know, indicative of the vast majority of people that play this game, and I think sometimes people really think that everyone who's high level has really good stats. I can guarantee you most people that play this game aren't even max level. Most people that play this game have never touched PvP. Most people that play this game will probably never do a raid. And that's not a bad thing. That's just how the game is, right? There's varying levels of intensity that you can choose for yourself. You could take it to the furthest limit, or you could be a filthy casual, and there's nothing to be disrespectful for on that. And I think people need a reality check sometimes when they get judgmental over stuff like this. And the reality is, a lot of people on Wiz, like, when they have the chance to help people that are maybe less skilled, they take that chance time and time again. I can tell you this as someone who played before I was a streamer when I had nothing. Like, literally on this game, people used to trade me TCs, people used to hatch with me, people did all kinds of things that they didn't have to do at all, right? This was even before they added incentives for doing half these things. I think when people come at a social interaction like, yo, this person plays Wiz, I play Wiz, I'm grateful that we're both here, I feel like when people go in with that mentality, I feel like a beautiful thing happens and a real community forms without all of the stupidity that we see unfolding over meaningless things like stats or how good you are at PvP. Now, I'm talking about something that happened maybe 10 years ago, but I would hope that it still happens nowadays. And if not, we should really be asking the question of why it doesn't happen as much. Why is there not as much, you know, acceptance that someone's just less powerful than you on a game like Wiz of all things, right? Why are those interactions like that, you know, where someone with more resources helps someone with less so that they can enjoy the game better? Why is that not more of a norm? If that truly has changed, then yeah, maybe there is a cultural shift that we should be talking about more seriously. But to weigh in on the problem in the title and the thumbnail, whether Wizard101 truly has an elitism problem just based on this Reddit post, while that post might make it look like Wizard101 has an elitism problem, I really think the issue is that Wizard101 has people that feel like they're elites. And the few people who do feel that way are extremely loud, extremely obnoxious, and unfortunately get no real pushback from people that can do something about it. And I'm glad that the actual subreddit is actually taking action against, you know, some of the really weird toxicity around stuff like this. But I think a lot of it really does come down to the fact that while there are a few judgmental people, I think most people will say what I'm saying, and that their experience as a noob isn't actually really that negative of an experience to begin with. These are my hot takes on this. I just saw the post. I thought it made for a very interesting discussion because I don't think it's a black and white issue. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Weigh in. Do you guys, what are y'all's experiences with people that think that they're better than you because of their stats or how good they are at PvP or something else? As always, y'all, drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub for new. If somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Say awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.